Hi, welcome again to the Richard and Judy Book Club. Today we're talking about a fabulous book, one of my favourites in this year's summer reads. It's Jubilee by Shelley Harris, and very appropriate title for this year. Just before we talk to her about it and tell you about the book, a reminder that if you do get it either here, online, or from W.H. Smith, but only from W.H. Smith, you get bags of extra content in the back. There's podcasts available, there's a separate Q&A between us and the authors, and it's all absolutely free, obviously, but you'll see that when you look at the book. Right, Shelley, Jubilee, this is a great story. It's set in it's set in the present and in 1977.
The last Jubilee.
The last Jubilee, the Queen's Silver one, which I remember well.
I remember it vividly because I just had my twins in 1977, and the Queen came to Norwich, which is where we were living at the time, and I took them to see her.
Let's talk about Satish. Is that right? Is that right? Satish.
Yes, that is.
Okay,
yeah.
He's a lovely little boy. He's a little Asian boy, the only Asian boy living in the street, the only Asian family living on the street, and the street decides to have a street party, as so many people did. And it's a day that changes his life forever, and not for the good. Tell us about the photograph on which this book rests, the photograph.
Well, the photograph is a fictional one, but I don't feel as if it's fictional. I feel as if it's real.
It's out there. Yeah.
Yes, I really do. The original idea for the book actually came to me looking at a real photograph, which is a picture of my dad at a VE Day street party when he was a little boy. And I became quite fascinated in this really important public event, but all these private things going on.
Under the surface.
Exactly, which I knew about because he's my dad, you know. But I wanted to make a photograph from that iconic moment for me, and your memories, the fact that you have that clear, I have that really clear memory of that Silver Jubilee. And that photo, I thought, wouldn't it be great to have a photograph which was, let's crank it up a bit, really, really iconic, not just something in your family album like the VE Day one, something the whole world knows.
Just describe what's in the picture.
So this picture looks like a very, very harmonious image of a community gathering to celebrate.
National Day. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. It looks wonderful. And because it's this kind of internationally famous photograph, everybody who sees it sort of thinks they know the truth. They almost think that they own the meaning of that photograph.
Just to interrupt you there, the reason it becomes famous is because the local newspaper photographer just snaps it. I mean, it's no big deal. It says, you know, and he looks at it and he sees this little Asian boy surrounded by white faces and thinks, that's an image of unanimity and harmony. And the picture becomes, it goes, we'd say today, viral, but it goes global. It becomes the iconic photograph of the Queen's Silver Jubilee, doesn't it? It sums everything up.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
It does. And also it goes a step further. So it does that, and it's in every, you know, Sunday supplement after the day and all this kind
Britain
of thing.
Today. Harmonious. Yeah.
Absolutely, exactly that.
Aren't we great?
And then, just a few months afterwards, a punk band uses it.
The Sex Pistols.
Actually, I kind of based them on the Clash, but
all right.
I invented them like the photograph they're invented. They're called Riot Act, and they use the photograph for their album cover. Yeah. And muck around with it a bit, put themselves into it, and then it becomes a kind of real icon, a real cultural icon.
Britpop, writ large.
Yeah, kind of.
So that we Brits, seeing that photograph, can feel all warm inside and think, you know, how wonderful we are, and there's no racial tension, and isn't this demonstrate, you know, that Britain has changed, etc. But behind the scenes, that's not true at all, and it's not Satish's experience either, is it?
No, it isn't. It isn't. And what I wanted to happen in the book is I wanted the book to be an uncovering of mysteries. I wanted us, by the end of the book, to get to the truth. You
do that beautifully. You peel away the onion layers, and actually there is a heart to the onion when you get there. The thing about poor little Satish is, you know, he's had, we can't possibly explain this because it's the end of the book, he has the most appalling, I mean, my guts withered when I read what actually happens to him on this day. He has this terrible, racist experience. It's just horrible. We won't say what it is. So whenever he looks at that picture, which everyone else thinks is wonderful, including his own family, nobody else but him knows the truth of this. He almost faints with anguish. And then when it gets picked up by the Sex Pistols, the Clash, and goes global, he can't escape it. And the years go by, and we come into the present age, 30 years on, and he kind of thinks he has maybe laid it to rest. God damn it, the Sunday Times wants to recreate the picture with him and everybody else in it. They want to put them all back together again. It's come back to get him. And that's really the current dilemma of the book, isn't it? What does he do? Does he cooperate and pretend it was all fine, or does he tell the truth? Didn't you want him to tell the truth straight away?
What did I want? Well, when I wrote this book, I felt as if I was on the inside of Satish. I felt as if I was sort of looking at the world through his eyes. So in a sense, I didn't want him to do that. I almost tried to feel what he might do. And he's somebody who really, really wants to try to just keep things under control, and he works really, really hard.
He's a doctor, he's a consultant.
He's a cardiologist, isn't he?
He's a paediatric cardiologist at a brilliant London children's hospital. And he's very, very good at his job, but he, I'm sure it's okay to say without spoiling too much, that he has become addicted to prescription drugs.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about that, but carry on. Yeah, this is actually another side of the book. It's another dark heart of the book, because actually it's surprisingly common in the medical profession, isn't it? Yeah. Yes,
it is. And I'll tell you, the medical bits I researched very, very closely, because I'm not medical. I really wanted to be accurate. And one of the people who helped me, one of the doctors who helped me, I said, I do want this storyline where this doctor is just taking drugs from the hospital.
Because he can't sleep. He's got a major problem with sleep.
Exactly. And I said, is it too far-fetched that he would be in the hospital and just take drugs? And she said, a guy's just been done for it in our hospital.
Really? Really?
So it's real, it does happen.
So there's the tension between him and the Sunday Times and the photographer and the other people who are in the picture, not all of whom he hates, you know, there are some people that are fine. And his wife, he's never told his wife what happened. No. His lovely wife. So nobody can understand why he's being so awkward and say, I won't do this. And without him, the picture's nothing. You know, he has to be there or it doesn't work. When you then finally, at the end, as we get closer and closer to what happened that day, I was reading so fast, I wanted to get there, but I didn't want to skip, you know, I wanted to relish it. When you actually write towards the end of the book about this awful, humiliating thing that happens, did you relish it as a writer, or did you write with pain at your fingertips?
I know I should say I probably relished it professionally, but actually I feel very emotional about Satish, and I really hated writing it.
Did you?
I did, because I don't want him to suffer.
But he does.
But he has to. You know, narratively he has to suffer, but when I found it very hard, and I also, because I sort of feel like I'm inside him when it's going on.
Yeah.
You know,
this is your first book, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazingly a short book for a first one. I can see that it's gone right to your heart completely. You were born in Cape Town.
Yes.
And I read that you used to be a bouncer.
I know. I'm the world's least likely bouncer, aren't I, really? I was a bouncer at a teenage disco with kind of very nicely behaved Buckinghamshire teens, and I'd have to kind of, you know...
Okay.
Oh, that's all right then. That's more like Mary Poppins.
Yes, that is, the Mary Poppins type bouncer. How long were you in South Africa for?
I left when I was 6.
Oh, right. So do you think, just to finish that question, do you think that Cape Town and South Africa influenced this book in any way?
I actually do, but I think it influenced it a lot, and not because I've got memories of apartheid, because I was really, really young. But the reason we left was I've got a British dad and a South African mum, and we left because they just could not bear to live and bring up their children under apartheid any longer. So what I brought with me was my mum and dad, and
awareness.
A very strong sense of justice, which I think is one of the nice things that they have, you know, given me.
Can I just take you back as we finish this to something you said a couple of times, that you feel that you were very much inside Satish, looking at the world through his eyes. Well, I don't know if anyone else has said this to you, maybe your publisher has, but that's exactly how I felt reading the book. I felt that I was looking at everything through Satish. I identified with him completely, even though he was a different race and a different profession and everything. I felt as I was looking through his eyes, so you really communicated that. I think it's a wonderful piece of writing and a very original storyline, and it's a treat. And you can't put it down. You know, you have to know what's gone on, what's happened, and the writing style is delightful. Many congratulations.
Yes, indeed, and of course it's Jubilee year again.
So I know.
An extra reason
what a
for people
coincidence.
to yes. Thank you very much, Shelley. That was
such
lovely.
A pleasure.
Thank you.